Chrysler channel Black Fluid. Welcome back to Polar Night. This was supposed to go out a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, I kind of lost my voice, so we had to delay that, and I wanted to get password done. But here we are again. This is build 2 of Polar Night, and I've been talking to the dev, and apparently some changes have been made to the first build, so at some point, certainly before build 3, I'll be going back and redoing the video with the current version of build 1, and then I will replace the old video with that one and sort something out with that. So just so you know, that is the plan for that, so things will make more sense with this VN. But that's what I wanted to let you know about that. Let's pick up the story where we left off. It had been a supremely shitty day. Nursing a black eye with my heart pounding in my chest, teeth grinding and adrenaline coursing through my veins, took me several tries to get the keys in the lock. Once inside, I slammed the door, ignoring the yelp of surprise in the living room. Clyde and Connor wouldn't be home yet, so it was just me and Mum. "Garrett, are they you, pets?" As much as it tore me up even more, I was in no mood to talk to her. I just descended into coherent swearing and shouting. I didn't want to subject her to that. So I just bottled it up. As always. "It's me, Mum. I'm heading upstairs. I don't want dinner." I heard her plaintive voice call from the living room, but I didn't catch what she'd said. Thank Christ those two arseholes weren't home. I genuinely think I'd have murdered someone otherwise. So I stomped up the stairs, seething. I stopped at the top of the stairs when I saw something. A door. My bedroom door. Open. That was when I heard rustling. Someone was going through my things. I marched to my door, not caring if it was Clyde. Any possible fear I had of him was buried under my volcanic rage. "I told you to stay the fuck out of..." "Garrett." My brother jumped as I appeared at the door, looking at me with shock. Connor, I hadn't expected him. He usually respected my privacy. Usually. I was about to scream at him and load the boiling anger in my chest on him for invading my space. That's when I saw what he had in his hands. And my fury instantly cooled into something else. Absolute terror. When I jolted awake, my heart was pounding in my chest. My jaw hurt. I'd obviously been clenching it during the night. It took a few moments for me to remember where I was. The gentle rolling of the silver quickly brought me back. I buried my face in my hands, choking back sobs. My limbs trembled and the adrenaline still coursed through me. I practiced my breathing, closing my eyes and taking deep, shuddering breaths. It was something I'd been taught by the last person I've ever expected to learn something like this from. And, to make it sting even more, it actually worked. In, count to 3, hold, count to 4, out, count to 5. After a few minutes, my heart slowed and my breath came easier and the shivering ceased. I opened my eyes, wiped my tears and finally took it in my surroundings. It was still dark out, though at this time of year this far north that didn't mean much. I rolled over and grabbed my phone on the bedside table. 7:48 a.m. My eyes still burned from the tears, but also fatigue. I'd barely slept at all, and even when I had finally dropped off, my nightmare ensured it was not a restful one. I yanked off the covers and swung my legs over. The temperature in the room was uncomfortably cold. I padded over the radiator and gripped it. Fuck me, ice cold. Does anything work on this fucking ship? A loud rumble from my belly caught me off guard. I realized I hadn't eaten anything since lunch yesterday. My stomach folded into a knot. Breakfast wasn't until 8:30. Less than an hour, but might as well have been years away. With a heavy sigh, I padded into the bathroom. Might as well shower and get dressed. My thoughts had been so preoccupied with my stomach that I'd forgotten the lack of heating just seconds ago. The moment the ice-cold water hit me, I admit I yelped like a pup whose tail has just been trodden on. I practically teleported across the bathroom in shock. I stared at the shower with a murderous gaze, as though it had planned this. Then the embarrassment kicked in. I'm afraid whoever next door hadn't heard that yelp. The rest of my shower was short and I didn't bother with shampoo. By the time I stepped out, my limbs were shaking violently. At least I could strike tired from my current list of maladies, I thought as I glimpsed my grumpy, bedraggled form in the mirror. Pulling the towel from the metal rack, I vigorously dried myself. My eye felt okay, but I decided to put my Diclo drops in anyway, just in case. Once back in my bedroom, I started putting on my clothes. Pretty expensive cold weather gear, but now I realised I only had the single set of it. Changes of underwear and socks and shirts wouldn't mean much if I wore the same sweltering jacket and trousers for the next 2 weeks. I noted with chagrin that the stench of smoke was still strong. I could clean up as much as I liked. The moment I put these on, I'd be covered in it. My hands moved as if on autopilot to my pockets. In my left, my lighter. My right, my packet of cigarettes. I was halfway to pulling out my first light when it struck me. I was on a ship. I can't smoke here, not unless I want to set off the alarms and get a bollocking. Assuming the smoke alarms even work on this rust bucket. I slowly slid the lighter back into my pocket and returned the cigarette to the pack. After breakfast, I could hang on that long at least. As I entered the lounge, the scent of food instantly triggered another loud growl from my stomach. I could hear the sounds of frying and sizzling from the kitchen hatch. "Oh, good morning, Garrett. Sleep well?" She was standing by the hatch of the kitchen, holding a metal tray with a cover. She had oven mitts on as she moved over to the buffet stand. "Oh, yeah, pretty well, that whole drama notwithstanding." "Oh, again, sorry about that." My stomach drew my attention to the tray she was carrying. It growled again, especially as June lifted the cover off the tray and a steaming batch of creamy scrambled eggs caught the glow of the buffet heat lamp. "Our food is ready, just needs sorting out. Go grab a plate on the table. It'll just be a few more minutes." She sidled off the hatch to pick up a new tray. As she did, I noticed her rubbing her left arm near the elbow. She massaged her armpit and grimaced. "Hey, you okay?" "Hmm? Did you hurt your arm?" "Oh, this?" She stopped rubbing her arm and gave me a chagrined smile, splaying her fingers and giving me jazz hands as if to demonstrate her functioning limbs. No, it's fine. Just a little bruise." She frowned a bit, wincing as her movement obviously triggered her injury, and she rubbed her elbow again. "Oh, my damn cabin door sticks. I had to really pull it this morning, then it popped open and smacked into my elbow. I keep meaning to ask Joseph to take a look, but he's snowed under right now." I remember the events of last night and how I'd thought to speak to Joseph about the emergency lights, or the lack of them. I wasn't an expert on maritime law, but I figured having working emergency lights might be some kind of regulatory requirement. June would know. Before I could ask, my thoughts were interrupted by another growl from my stomach. June snickered, nudged me with her good arm and marched back to the kitchen hatch to grab another tray of food. She lifted a rather large tray and winced, hesitating before walking carefully towards the buffet table. I watched, teeth clenched, as she quick walked the last few paces and clanked it down, hissing through her teeth and rubbing her arm. June, why don't I carry the trays over?" "What? Oh no, absolutely not. You're a guest here." "Really, it's not as bad as it seems." She put on a brave face, but I wasn't having it. "June, I'm going to go grab a tray. Why don't you serve up?" I gestured to the buffet table, filled with gleaming chafing dishes under heat lamps. "Garrett, really?" "Honestly, it's fine. I may look like a twig, but I promise I can handle it." She gave a little snort. She'd seen me last night in my underwear, so she knew just how skinny I was under this jacket. My heart accelerated at the memory, and not in the good way. "Oh, thanks, Garrett. You're a sweetheart." I started shutting the trays back and forth from the kitchen as she filled the buffet with piping hot mouth-watering foods. creamy scrambled eggs, crisp and golden hash browns, crispy vegetarian bacon and sausages, mushrooms in butter. By the time I brought the final tray back to the kitchen and June was finishing stocking up the buffet, my belly was practically vibrating with hunger. "Oh, great team effort, Mr. Reed." "Indeed, Miss Caverin. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to grab breakfast before my stomach implodes." "Oh, sounds messy. Don't let me keep you." She grinned and ambled off, disappearing up the steps of the bridge deck. I grabbed a plate and stared at the bounty before me. Admittedly, I'd have preferred some real bacon and sausage. We're on a mixed-species crew like this. It was to be expected that no real meat would be found. The far end of the buffet had fresh steamed vegetables of various kinds, followed by eggs and baked beans, mushrooms, and as I scanned to the other side, the foods became more decadent. Deciding to leave the vegetables, I grabbed a few hash browns and a scoop of scrambled eggs just as the door opened and Tabby walked in. Our eyes met for a moment. I had no idea how someone so slight could have such an intimidating gaze. Although, as she walked over, her expression was decidedly less unfriendly. "Morning." "Morning. Sleep well." Her less than stellar first night aboard hit me just as I spoke, and I caught my tongue. Fortunately, she either didn't notice or didn't care. "It's fine." Standoffish as per usual, but her tone wasn't hostile. She sidled up next to me and started to scoop some veg onto a plate before surveying the rest. I wanted to ask her if she was okay, but I didn't want to pry either. She struck me as someone who was pretty private, and I didn't know if Gail had let on that she told us about her nyctophobia. Plus, she seemed to be in a relatively good mood the first time since I'd met her. But I also didn't want to pretend like nothing had happened. Surely she was smart enough to know that, even if we didn't know why, her scream was the reason for the commotion last night. The silence hung in the air until the awkwardness forced the words out of my mouth. "So, you okay?" She turned to look at me, her expression unchanged as though she'd not quite heard me. "Okay? What do you mean?" "I mean, about last night." Immediately her expression darkened, she gave me an accusing look. "What about last night?" "Well, I'd started this, might as well just bite the bullet. Gail said you have nyctophobia, and after the power cut you seemed pretty upset. Just checking if you're okay." I cringed inwardly, expecting her to tell me to shove it or to shout at me. Instead, her expression shifted. I couldn't tell what she was feeling, but I could say she didn't seem pissed off at me, at least. "Just, if you wanted to say anything, I'm sorry for sticking my nose into your business." I offered her a hurried apology and turned back to the food, grabbing tongfuls of stuff with little thought just to escape the situation as quickly as possible. "I'm okay." I glanced up. To my utter amazement, she was smiling. "Thanks for asking." Stunned by her response, I watched as she scooped up a portion of eggs onto a plate and a few hash browns while strolling away toward a table. As I filled up my plate, the others started filtering into the room. Arran and Stefan first, then Rufus, Dana and Gail, and finally Sharif. I stepped away from the buffet as they all crowded round, picking up a hash brown and popping it into my mouth. It crunched satisfyingly in my mouth, overriding the pain response from being slightly too hot. There was a smattering of chat as people held themselves at the buffet. I noticed Dana looked pretty rough. Bags under her eyes, unfocused gaze. God damn, how long she stayed up drinking? I guess that was why she'd not appeared during last night's kerfuffle. One by one they spread out across the lounge, clustering into groups. Stefan, Sharif and Arran were seated at the top of the conference table we'd had our meeting at last night. Stefan was excitedly blabbering, Arran chuckling and nodding along. Sharif was surprisingly attentive, not speaking but observing, sipping his tea. Holy shit, did Sharif just smile? Gail and Tabby were seated with Dana and Rufus around the sofa where the Caprine sisters had their argument the previous night. Gail and Rufus were their usual gregarious selves, while Tabby was quiet and focused on her food. Dana was mostly shifting the rather meagre portion of food on a plate around, resting her head in her hand. I knew very well the look of someone nursing a hangover. She did perk up when Gail asked her something, Like her switch had been flipped, she became animated, while her effects of the hangover seemingly forgotten. Who do I want to sit with? Arran was shoving Stefan playfully as I stepped closer. Sharif sipped his tea silently. Hey, mind if I join you? Stefan beamed at me and patted the seat beside him. Of course you can, sit your ass down. I sat by him while Arran was on his opposite side. Sharif sat at the head of the table, a leather notebook open in one hand as he picked delicately at his food. Sharif's plate was surprisingly light. A heap of steamed peas and carrots, a small amount of eggs, and a single hash brown. Arran's plate was similar, just with larger portions and a helping of baked beans. Stefan, on the other hand, on top of having 4 large hash browns, he managed to cram a bit of everything in the buffet onto his plate, except the steamed veg. I felt full just looking at it. Christ, lad, where'd you put it? The hair nudged him in the ribs, making the possum wince with an oof. What? I'm a growing boy. Need my vitamins. Yeah, if you're doing a lot growing if you stuff your face like this all the time. Hey. He gave the hair a wounded look. I always eat healthy. I just don't often get to eat free stuff, and I mean... He stabbed at a single sausage on his fork and twirled it around slowly as if marvelling at it. My chef does some good chow, you can't deny it. Well, after last night's dinner, I believe you believe that. Thought you were going to explode. Oh, stop exaggerating. You ate enough for a family of 4. Did not. It was horrifying. Never seen anything like it. His completely solemn expression made me crack up. Arran leaned around him to gaze at me with an exaggerated, wide-eyed look of terror. We thought we were going to have to roll him down to the cabins. Stefan huffed in a final show of defiance. Opened his gob and flashed Arran a mouthful of chewed food. Oh, Stefan, that's disgusting. Stefan snickered, but his attention and mine were quickly drawn by Sharif. He'd been hiding his expression through sips of tea. The sight of Stefan gurning out at Arran proved too much. He gave a brief snorting laugh, a wide smile breaking through his normally stone-like expression. The 3 of us gave him amazed looks. You can smile. I should do it more. It was rather a strange look given how stiff and standoffish he'd been up to now, but it certainly was a nice sight. He brought himself under control, giving a dainty cough and looking slightly embarrassed. Yeah, don't be ridiculous. Of course I can smile. It's the first time I've seen you do it, though. Sharif looked a little taken aback. He rubbed his chin, looking thoughtful. Do I really come across that way? Don't worry about it. Just nice to see you smile. You're so serious yesterday. I apologise in that case. It wasn't my intention to be rude. Yesterday was the culmination of many months of effort, and also the first time I'd met so many friends and family of the Arran crew. His newfound warmth was a welcome shift from his normal, world's largest stick-up-my-arse demeanour. I was meaning to ask, what was Professor Hagen like? Sharif's smile faded. I nudged Stefan in the ribs as a warning to drop it. Apparently Arran had the same idea. Our combined elbows must have been like a gut punch. Oof! Are you alright? Stefan's voice came out of his squeak. Fine! Sharif broke into a smile again. I could see in his eyes that he was not quite over being reminded of his friend. We ate in silence for a while. Sharif stared as if lost in thought at the table while he idly poked at his food. Me and Arran shot Stefan frustrated looks. He responded with a shrug and a defensive roll of his eyes. He taught me everything I know. His break in the silence caught us off guard, and all 3 of us looked up from our breakfasts. You mean Hagen, right? His voice was gentle, seemingly worried about upsetting Sharif. Indeed. His speciality was archaeology, but he knew more than I ever could about anthropology. He was a leading light in his field. The world lost a great man when the Arran vanished. Stefan bristled between us, and Arran and I both shot him warning looks. Again he rolled his eyes but didn't interrupt. I owe it to him to discover his fate. Doesn't he have a family? I thought a man like that would have any number of friends, family, kids even. Regretfully, no. Hagen was always obsessed with his work, and no time for family. Excuse me, Professor Abdi, but... Stefan finally could not contain himself, though his voice was softer than normal. Sharif, no point standing on formalities when we are here, do you not agree? Okay, sorry, Sharif. I was meaning to ask you about that, actually. You just said Hagen was an archaeologist. Yes, what about it? But I thought you were an anthropologist. I am. Archaeology and anthropology have much in common. My field focuses on the study of sentient societies, although my particular focus is on ancient societies in the Mosaic period. Wow, really? I gave an audible groan and buried my face in my hands, leading Arran and Sharif to give me odd looks. Have you ever read Distant Origins by Rupert Gadala? Stefan, could you please leave this till later? Stefan looked like he was going to explode, but I didn't care. Absolutely did not need to listen to his prattling this time of the morning, and especially over breakfast. Sharif and Arran both looked at us oddly, but Stefan, amazingly, huffed and sat back, biting his tongue. Anyway, Sharif, what is that book you keep reading? Oh, it's my notebook, nothing more. I wanted to press him, but his tone turned sharp, his eyes regained some of that stony intensity of yesterday. It was a look that said, this topic is off limits. We ate in silence for a while more as we finished our breakfasts. I finished my plate, leaning back and sighing. I couldn't argue with Stefan. It was good, if simple food. So hey, I got my camera. Anyone want to come sightseeing with me? It's brighter out than last night. Might get some good views. Thanks, but I might go to the gym or the sauna. Wherever I don't have to see her. He glared in the direction of the table where Dana had stood to excuse herself. It seemed the other group was finishing up breakfast too. There was a light tapping into the table, which I assumed was Arran getting antsy about last night again. I regret I cannot join you. I'll be busy most of the day with the captain. Fine, I'll be on deck if you need me. With that, we all rose to our feet. We took our plates and cups to the kitchen hatch where the other group had already gathered. We all shuffled around the hatch to drop off our plates for coalescing into a vague group in the middle of the Explorers Club. Stefan produced from somewhere a pretty expensive-looking camera. I tensed up instantly. I really don't like getting my picture taken. I'm going to head outside for some fresh air and see if I can take some photos. Well, I think I might use that gym if that's okay, June. Of course, knock yourself out. Yeah, figuratively, of course. June, if you wouldn't mind, I was going to take a look at the cinema. Could you help set it up? Alrighty. Oh, the sauna. Might avail myself if that's okay. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not in service right now. Joseph is looking into it, though. Hopefully it'll be fixed shortly. Yeah, figures. As everyone dispersed, I found myself unsure what to do. I'd not had a chance to really take in the Sylvia last night, so I figured I might as well have a look around. I pulled out the handbook I'd been given. The facilities all looked kind of bare. The gym looked like a generic cabin with some weight benches and exercise bikes thrown in. The sauna looked okay, but that was obviously out of the question. Besides, I hate intense heat. The cinema looked kind of like a common room someone had thrown some chairs and a projector in, but I guess it might be nice to take in a movie in the evenings. I had to remind myself that this wasn't a holiday. We weren't here to have the time of our lives. The fact we even had these facilities, basic as they were, during this search was something to be grateful for. I suppose. Oh, where do I go? The sudden cold sent a shiver through me. It was even colder than last night. I could hear the engine now clearly, a soft hum just audible over the wind. What hit me the most was just how calm it was. The wind was stronger than when we'd been in port. The sea was still. Around us, periodic ice floes floated briskly by. The sound of a familiar enthusiastic voice broke the spell. I looked over the bow and saw Stefan and Tabby. Stefan had his camera raised, snapping shots of the ocean and the moon. He paused every other shot to gesticulate and chatter. Tabby was nodding along, staring out to the view. My hand reached for my pocket, fumbling through it for a moment, my heart jumping a bit as I couldn't find my smokes. My hand closed around the pack and I sighed with relief. As I'd done more times than I'd ever like to admit, I pulled a cig from the pack with my teeth, flicked my lighter and drew. The familiar warmth filled me, followed by a pang of guilt. I knew this was terrible for me. I knew Mum hated it. But it never ceased to amaze just how quickly all reason and logic flew out the window when the drive hit. "Hey, Garrett!" Exhaling and silently swearing that next time would be the one where I quit. For the 50th time this week, I sauntered toward them, boots crunching the light dusting of snow and ice. "Oh, Steph was just telling me how to line up the perfect shot." "Oh, he hasn't tried telling you about distant origins yet?" I gave the possum a smirk and he made a dismissive motion with his hand. "What are you even taking pictures of? It's dark, we're in the middle of the ocean." "Don't you see it? The way the sea is so still, and the way the moon reflects little dots of ice." He tutted. All he got back was the pair of us giving him sceptical looks. "Philistines." Stefan snapped a few more pictures while lowering his camera. He appeared at the screen on the rear, examining his photos. "First lighters, now photography." I gave Stefan a nudge as I sidled up to him. What's wrong with having interests?" "Lighters?" "Yeah, he knows about as much about my lighter as I do." "Oh, what's there to know? Your lighter's a lighter, right?" I pulled my lighter out of my pocket to show her. It belonged to my grandpa, not a common lighter these days. "This guy?" I nodded at him, drawing a cheeky know-it-all smirk. He knew it immediately. Kind of scary when you think about it. "Hey!" I smirked at his wounded look. He responded by rolling his eyes and going back to examining the photos on his camera. "Oh, this one's good. This one, nah." He browsed the images on his camera, discarding the ones that didn't meet his approval. "Alex wanted me to continue my photography. I bet he'll be sick of seeing sights like this by now, though." My eyes darted to Tabby. I knew very well now how she felt about this business. But to my surprise, Stefan seemed to realise what he'd said and gave an apologetic look. "Oh, sorry, Tabby. I know you aren't convinced." Tabby gave a dismissive wave. "Yeah, it's fine. You don't have to justify yourself." Wow, she really was in a better mood today. "Alex must mean the world to you." Though looking brighter, he still had a wistful look. "Yeah, he does. Since I was 8, he basically took care of me." "You mentioned that yesterday. He must be quite a bit older than you if he's your guardian." "Well, he's 4 years older than me. When our parents died, we went into foster care." He sighed, switched his camera off and turned to lean his back against the railing. "Our foster parents were great, don't get me wrong. But Alex wanted to get as far away from Vancouver, where he grew up, as he could as quickly as he could. So as soon as he turned 18, he applied to become my legal guardian. Then he got a job as a chef in Ottawa when we moved. Basically raised me alone from the age of 14 onwards until, well." He looked away, hugging himself. His tail curled this way and that. "Oh, I'm so sorry, Stefan. He sounds like a wonderful person." He paused a moment, clearly struggling. "I had to move back to Vancouver to stay with my foster parents when the Arran went missing. He sent me a stipend from his salary, and without it, well, I couldn't afford to live alone." He gazed into the middle distance, trading off, maybe reminiscing. Damn, no wonder he's so attached to Alex. But enough about me. In a flash, his grin was back, taking us both by surprise. "Enough sad stuff. What about you, Tabby?" "Me?" She seemed taken completely off guard by his sudden question. "Gail said you were studying mechanics, right?" She settled, biting her lower lip in thought. "Yeah, Fuck uni. I work in a garage part-time too. I admit I was surprised. Tabby didn't strike me as a gearhead. Well, the more I thought about it, I didn't know what a gearhead would look like. I wonder if I struck anyone as a Sparky. What does stereotypical Sparky look like? My mind was filled with images of mad scientist types with static electric frazzled fur and wearing goggles. Oh, that's neat. Know your way around an engine then? Well, a bit. Despite her vague answer, her demeanour shifted. She smiled more, making eye contact and then crossing her arms. Said we'd found one of her preferred topics. Always loved fixing things. Gail's always the people pleaser. This ship might need you, the way things are going. Yeah, definitely leaving a 1-star review. Me and Stefan exchanged looks, not sure how far to press. Look, I know you both know, okay? Gail isn't as subtle as she thinks. I do appreciate you asking if it's okay, Garrett. I'm not grateful for you guys coming to check on me. It's not something I want to talk about, okay? No, of course. I understand. That said. She had a thoughtful look, staring back at the Sylvia's lounge. I'm pretty sure functioning emergency lights are a legal requirement for ships. That's what I was thinking. Then this morning, the heating was off. Oh, I know that. I heard Garrett make the discovery myself. He gave me a toothy grin and Tabby smirked. Hey! To be fair, I think everyone heard Garrett. Oh, fuck you guys. They both chuckled as I burned with embarrassment. Although I admit, it was nice to see them getting along. Tabby especially. We'll go into the mechanics then, if you don't mind my asking. Tabby thought for a moment. Oh, I guess Dad did. He told me how to fix my bike when a chain came off when I was a kid. I guess it just clicked. Something nice about fixing something. Where you can go from being a useless object back to working order. I wish I had a skill like that. Nothing's stopping you. We lapsed into silence, gazing out over the sea. My hand moved automatically, placing the smoke between my lips as I drew again. Tabby gave me a withering look. Oh, good thing Gail isn't here to see you. She'd probably swipe them from you. I'll bear that in mind. I offered her a smile as I finished, stubbing it out on the bulwark. I'm going to take a few more shots. Alex might not appreciate this view, but I do. Well, I need some warmth, as you so generously pointed out. I gave the pair of them a faux accusatory look. I've had my fill of the cold for one day. Don't act like you're pissed with us, Garrett. We see right through you. Stefan snorted and Tabby gave me a smirk. I blinked, confused for I realized they were watching my tail. It was swaying behind me, I hadn't even realized. Traitor. I huffed, gave them a wave and strolled back towards the lounge. Although I admit I had a bit of a spring in my step. The gym was located near the cabins, also conveniently near the sauna and the laundry. Even when I opened the door, I could hear the clanging of metal on metal. As I stepped inside, the first thing that struck me was how cramped it was. There was a bench press, some free weights, a bike machine, and an elliptical trainer. The air was slightly thick with the scent of the two occupants. Not unpleasant, but it did make me pause for a moment. Ah, here's the twink himself. Oh, go boy, come to ascend the heady heights of Beefcake. Rufus was standing before a barbell on the floor, apparently in preparation to lift. Arran was sitting on the bench doing bicep curls. And they were both in their underwear. Easy, Garrett. My hand tugged at my fringe once again. I pulled my sleeve down on my right wrist, making sure the scars there were covered. Remembering how they'd seen my skinny wreck of a body made me blush furiously into my fur, and for a moment I hesitated, debating whether to leave and try somewhere else. Get your skinny ass in here. Come on in, Garrett. I promise we won't bite. Part of me that's recalling all those eyes on my body made me want to bolt. But the part of me that didn't want to humiliate myself by bolting, a bit of teasing won. Barely. I stepped inside, standing awkwardly by the door as Rufus squatted, grabbing the barbell and slowly standing upright. He grunted, his face serious and concentrating as he performed deadlifts. I didn't know much about exercise, as my bony frame could attest, but I assumed his smooth, fluid movements were perfect form. Arran, for his part, continued his bicep curls, grunting and counting under his breath until he reached 10 before placing the weight on the padded floor. Before you ask if we didn't bring gym clothes, this is the next best thing. Not there's loads of people here to see us anyway. 10. With a grunt, Rufus lowered the barbell back to the floor. Oh, nothing like working up a sweat in the morning. How about you, Garrett? Want to give it a try? I didn't hear him at first on account of my skin being on fire and my heart racing. I could feel my tail already swaying and it took all my might to make it stop. Or at least, not wag like crazy. He strode over to me, taking me by the shoulders and hustling me over to the barbell for I could protest. I might want to take those off. He indicated my clothes with a gesture. Imagine I'll be sweating up a storm in no time. Maybe I was shaking a little. The moment he raised the possibility of stripping off, the vague, embarrassed warmth of my skin turned to cold red and I pulled away from him. You okay? I'm just kidding, you don't need to do anything you don't want. Arran also looked a little concerned, cocking his head as he sensed my distress. No, it's fine. I'm sorry. I just don't like... My mind seized up as I tried to say, being naked. Easy, easy. I'm real sorry for pushing you. He took a respectful step away. While part of me was grateful, a certain wistfulness remained as his hand stopped touching me. He reminded me of someone, at least in build and species, who I'd seen at school as a teen. An older lad, keen footballer. He transferred in early 6th year. I already discovered my bisexuality then. I knew very well I could not ever allow it to be discovered. The bullying was bad enough, but knowing I was into guys and also sharing a locker room would likely make me a pariah. But still, even though Servines weren't personally to my taste, it had been the first time I'd seen a guy in real life who'd made my heart race like that. No, it's okay, please. Arran stood and walked over, still kept a respectful space between us. I smelled me teasing you last night. If so, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. No, really, I'm okay. It's not you. His eyes flicked down for a moment. I realized I was tugging hard on my sleeve, ensuring my scarred wrist was covered. I quickly stopped, burning harder with humiliation. In a way, it was much harder to deal with the scars on my wrist and on my face. It was harder to hide my eye, but at least people wouldn't think I'd hurt myself. Damn you, Connor. Anyhow, I was meaning to ask you guys about yourselves. Didn't get a chance to get to know you last night, what with the, drama? Yes, there's already some friction, huh? What's all that about anyway? He gave a wave with his hand, looking pissed. Like I said last night, my sister was a navigator. You can imagine how she got treated when the Arran vanished. Ah, yeah, I think I remember. Not as much shit as Captain McGregor got, though. That doesn't mean... He caught himself, quickly huffing and folding his arms. I spent 2 years watching an autopsy of life when a body's out there somewhere. Any good can come from this. I wanted to be an end to all the rumours and conspiracies. I got hate mail, you know that? Well, seriously? Hate mail? Dana got it too, and yeah, probably is worse than me. Doesn't make it easier to deal with. Why hate mail? Well, were you paying any attention to the inquiry? What can I say? I hadn't really. Mum had, but then she'd not exactly paid much attention to the specifics. Just whatever kernels of hope she could cling to. Christ. So there were rumours that Carrie was seeing someone on board, but she got distracted. And people sent you hate mail. Well, who the fuck are they going to send it to? Cassie is dead, so she can hardly read it, can she? He caught himself again. This time a few taps of the paw on the matted floor escaped before he brought himself under control. I just want to get some closure. Don't know if I'll be able to cope with both Dana and Stefan on board. He made a dismissive gesture with a hand. Stefan is nice enough and all, but God, I hate that attitude. What's this about Stefan now? He has some ideas about things. Rufus gave me a blank look. Weird ideas. Weird as in likes pineapple on pizza, or weird as in Atlantis is real? I mean, I wouldn't put either past him, really. Either way, I mean, I like him well enough. He seems like a decent sort, but his conviction is annoying. What? Why? Believing in something is good, right? Okay, conviction is the wrong word. A delusion is more like it. I overheard Gale last night. I can understand holding on to hope while acknowledging it's a long shot, but there's a difference between that and just flat-out denial. I can't say for sure since I'd known him before all this. But it's pretty clear to me it's a maladaptive coping mechanism. Rufus's eyes glazed a bit when he heard the long words. It means a coping mechanism that can make things worse. Right. He smiled in understanding. I wouldn't say the lights are on but no one's home, but I guess that's a way of putting it. Look, can we drop it? Oh, sure. So, how about you, Garrett? I'm just an electrician. Nothing much to say. Oh, not a college kid? I should have pegged you for a bad boy, what, the scar and all? My stomach clenched and Arran's ears dropped with loud thumps against his shoulders in shock. His eyes darted from me to Rufus and back again. Like, damn, kid. Oh, we fucked up whoever did that to your eye. The chicks will be into it, though, I bet. I don't know if he even noticed my now wide-open jaw. Arran, for his part, seemed to absorb all the horror I'd usually feel into himself, shrinking back as though expecting me to explode. Rufus put his hands on his hips and gave me a big, goofy grin. Arran, poor guy, looked like he was about to bolt when something in me just snapped. I snorted, covering my mouth to try and intercept the laugh before just surrendering and allowing it all out. What's so funny? Garrett, you okay? Yes, I'm fine, just... I struggled the words out amidst another fit of laughter before calming myself. I didn't know what triggered it. Maybe just how oblivious the big dunce was. Arran looked relieved and gave his nervous laugh while finally brightening. I felt another pang of guilt about how I'd snarled at him yesterday. Fuck, I was oversensitive about my eye. So, about your sister, Hannah, right? I saw the look he gave me before turning to Rufus. I guess it was sweet of him to move the topic away. Huh? Oh, yeah. His smile faded and his eyes misted a little. She's always the brains of the family. Could have been whatever she wanted, I reckon. But she loved the sea. Always did. Mine and Arran's smiles cracked as he looked into the middle distance, reminiscing. Now he had nothing but the best part out of the fella she worked with. And she worked a job that's still a man's world, near enough. Ain't no way she'll let anything happen to the crew if she's able to stop it. At this, his expression hardened. His entire body went rigid, like he was tensing for a punch to land. I get why you're pissed, Arran. Really. Remember that Carrie wasn't the only one the Arran got their memory dragged through the mud. And like you said, if it ain't the rumours, I'm all for giving this glorified canoe ride a shot. Can't say I'd sleep while knowing I'd let this chance slide. So that said, I can sympathise with Stefan. I know. He held up his hands as he saw Arran bristle. I get he has some weird ideas about what happened to the Arran. I reckon he's onto something about that Sharif fella. You mean about how he's hiding something? I don't claim to be a clever man. If even I can see Sharif ain't been fully on the level with us, so it's a safe bet there's something going on. Like what? Well, I guess that's the college guy to figure out. He broke into another goofy grin and slapped Arran on the shoulder so hard I heard his teeth clatter. Anyhow, I was planning on talking to the captain about last night. You know, the whole no emergency lights thing. Oh yeah, I nearly forgot. Can do it at lunchtime. You're all welcome to tag along. Maybe the beefcake, the bad boy, and the, He gave Arran a look like he's trying to figure out a nickname for him, making Arran look almost as horrified as when he expected me to go mental about my eye. Please, don't finish that thought. I don't think my ego could take it. Gotta confront the captain together and get some answers, huh? Sure. Fair enough. Great. If you excuse me, I need to finish my sets. Yeah, me too. You're welcome to stay in the mind of view if you like. He gave an exaggerated wink and flexed an arm. Apparently a master going from being cute to being ridiculous in seconds flat. I rolled my eyes and gave a dismissive wave, but left him to their devices a little more cheerful than when I'd entered at least. The cinema, such as it was exactly as it appeared in the handbook. A large bare room where cheap plastic chairs had been arranged in front of a projector. Dana, June and Gale were huddled around the shelf, chatting amongst themselves. June turned to look as I entered, grinned and waved me over. Hey, Garrett. Dana and Gale also glanced over. Gale smiled while Dana looked nonplussed. We were thinking of watching something, but couldn't really decide. I'm off that point, there's not much choice. I scanned the shelf, full of DVDs, and I wasn't impressed by the selection. Rom-coms, family-friendly rubbish, sentimental mush. I wouldn't mind there wasn't any decent family-friendly stuff, like classic animated movies or Voxar stuff. Tough choice. Come on guys, try to get into the spirit. I'd sooner hang myself forever than watch this dross. Me and Gale both snickered, but June looked genuinely hurt. Sorry, I know you're trying. I mean, we could just chat. I just realised I don't really know much about you, June. Oh, me? She looked surprised. I mean, not much to say, really. Just a seafarer trying to make my way in the world. Seems like a choice of sea to fare if you don't mind me saying so. I figured you on a ship in the Caribbean. That way you can take a dip whenever you want. Yeah, I'm not much for the heat, which isn't to say I wouldn't love a dip in warmer waters. Just thinking the constant heat in that climate makes me itch. I'm curious, actually. Did you train for this job, or was it just something you picked up? I don't really know much about jobs on ships. Oh, I was a bartender in my student days. Mom wanted me to be a police diver like her, but I wanted to be around people, you know? Entertain, chat, that sort of thing. Tried to work on a big cruise line, but it didn't really work out. Oh, why? I thought you'd get more than enough people to chat to on one of those things. That's just it. It felt too impersonal. I did see repeat faces. Mostly it was just an endless sea of complete strangers. Figured I'd try a smaller ship. More intimate that way. So here I am. How you been on board then? About 6 months. Joined around the same time as Joseph. Her voice cracked slightly and I swear I saw her eyes dart to the door. In a flash she was back to normal though. As you say, Mom was a cop. Yep, police rescue diver. I'm proud of her and all, but not something I could ever do. The story she told me. She didn't always pull living people out of the water. And those who weren't alive were not always, recent. Yeah, Mum was a cop too. She never got used to it either. Oh, what department? Is she a detective or... It lasted just a second, but Dana's eyes twitched. Her tail swished sharply, and a brief flash of white between her lips sent a shiver up my spine. Oh yeah, detective. Apparently June and Gale both caught a sharp tone shift. I nervously cleared my throat. So, Gale, what's your mum like? Don't patronise me. I don't need to be treated with kid gloves. The glare she shot me made my furs stand on end. She was killed in the line of duty. I'm so sorry. Don't be. I don't need pity. I joined the force because of her. Made me who I am. Oh, you're a police officer. Detective. When she didn't say anything more, we could only shuffle awkwardly. Guess that's an end of that topic. Oh, I was meaning to ask about Tabby. Is she okay after last night, I mean? Oh, yes, of course. It's very kind of you to bring those lanterns, by the way. Tabby probably didn't say anything. She's like that. But she's really grateful. Nonsense. I'm just glad she's okay. Must have been frightening. She's always scared of the dark. If you don't mind my asking, of course. No, it's fine. She's never particularly fond of the dark, but she got trapped in a crawl space when she was young. Pitch black, barely any room to move. Absolutely horrible. So she's not a fan of cramped spaces either. Damn, poor kid. Well, I'm here to help always. Just give me a shout, okay? I know, thank you. Glad the conversation had brightened a bit. I suddenly recalled something that had been bugging me since last night. June, I was meaning to ask you about Joseph. Oh, what about him? Just curious what he's like. He's nice, just private. He's the only engineer on the ship though, right? Yeah. She could see where this was going, it seemed. I was just wondering why a ship this size has such a small crew. I'd have thought he'd have, I don't know, an assistant. Oh, I can assure you, he's very capable. That isn't what I mean, just that he must be pretty overworked. Is this about the lights last night? Sort of, mostly the lack of emergency lights. I don't understand. What do you mean? I don't know much about ships or anything, but isn't it like a law or regulation that ships need emergency lights in case the main power goes down? Oh, well, I think the captain would know more than me. I'm pretty sure it's a legal requirement. Not my area of expertise, of course. Oh, well, like I said, best to ask the captain. I can ask him for you if you like. This was a decidedly different June from her usual upbeat self. The forced cheerfulness was so obvious it almost made me embarrassed on her behalf. Aye, that would be good. Just for peace of mind, you understand. Oh, completely. I hope she didn't play poker. With tales like this, she'd be broke in no time. I guess that leaves you. Dana watched me with an intense look. Took a second for me to grasp her meaning, at which point I noticed Gail and June were now also watching me expectantly. Me? I don't know what to say, really. I'm not really that interesting. What about your brother? You said he's a mechanic, right? Did you ever hear from him during the voyage? Instantly, it felt like a fist was gripping my stomach. Gail, who twigged my feelings about Connor last night, looked very uncomfortable, almost as much as me. No, not really. Then you told your own brother at all? Dana! God damn, Gail's a master of the sharp motherly rebuke. Tabby must give a lot of practice. I quailed under her intense gaze. He didn't really speak to me about his job. Guess it was just a job like any other. Not much to say. Gail watched me evenly. She already grasped my feelings towards Connor last night. She predictably said nothing to contradict me. June just seemed nonplussed, giving a polite smile and nod. But Dana... She was watching me with a look that could have burned my shadow into the floor. Not angry or accusing, just intense. I wanted to ask what her problem was. Before I could, she relented, nodding and giving a small smile. So he's a mechanic, you're an electrician. Well, I guess the boys in your family like to work with your hands, huh? Gail, bless her heart, was someone where I generally couldn't tell if she was flirting, teasing, or just oblivious. If she'd been Rufus, I'd have comfortably said the latter, but with her, it was hard to know. Oh, what can I say? There's something to working on things that follow rules. Easier to understand than people. Oh, people aren't that hard to understand. Agree to disagree. I gave a half-hearted chuckle, but my chest still felt tight. Mum needed help around the house because she's not able to move easily. Being a Sparky means I can pull in decent cash and still live with her. Oh, Garrett, I'm so sorry. If you don't mind my asking. MS. She closed her eyes with a solemn look and reached out to touch my arm. It must be so hard for you. I get to be around her, she gets to be around me. At least putting up with me helps distract from everything else she puts up with. Even Dana got a chuckle out of that. For some reason, that cheered me up more than I thought it would. Suddenly, the tightness in my chest was joined by a familiar jolt of nerves. I felt the need to just be alone for a moment. Listen, can you excuse me? I think I need to take a smoke break. Oh, Garrett, you should stop that while you're young. While I'm young? You must be about my age, Grandma. I never ask a lady her age. Nothing about a lady saying her age. You first. 25. 25. Jinx. We shared a chuckle. Dana raised an eyebrow and smirked a little while June looked pleased. Remember, we sell more at... The commissary, he told me last night. Don't worry about me, I've got half a Svalbard supply in my cabin. She beamed, back to her usual self. With a final wave, I turned and left. Having had a chance to tour my home for the next couple of weeks, I felt the familiar hunger pangs, triggered by the scent of warm food wafting through the ship. Lunchtime was a quieter affair than breakfast. Arran, Tabby and Gale were absent, and by the time I arrived, the buffet was already stocked. Dana was having a conversation with June while Sharif sat, as per usual, by himself at the conference room table, idly pecking at a plate of food. It mystified me how someone with child-sized portions could maintain such a physique. He was once again absorbed by his notebook. Stefan was sitting at the opposite end with a mountain of food on his plate. He was fiddling with his camera in between taking forkfuls of food and stuffing it unceremoniously into his gob. He kept throwing furtive glances at Sharif. He must have had the metabolism of a combustion engine. It was generally both awe-inspiring and terrifying in equal measure. Rufus was standing by the door to the deck, a cup in one hand as he stared out into the calm polar night, looking lost in thought. Garrett, there you are. She beckoned me over as Dana shuffled off to the buffet to inspect their offerings. Been enjoying yourself? I noted the tone had a touch of concern. Maybe she's still worried about me and my reluctant presence on board. Oh, yeah, definitely, thanks. Glad to hear it. She still gave me a searching look, but thankfully didn't press me further. Well, enjoy. I'll be on the bridge for a while in case anyone needs me. Fair enough. She smiled, turned and sauntered off just as the door opened and Tabby and Gale entered. Oh, smells good. Not as greasy as this morning. Would Her Highness prefer a protein shake? I twitched, hoping to avoid another argument, but Gale just laughed and nudged her. Not my fault I've seen a business end of a bad diet. Seeing cholesterol-stuffed arteries put me off cheese for life. I barely suppressed a dry heave at the mental image. Tabby spotted me and acknowledged me with a casual wave. Hey, Garrett? I returned the wave with a small smile and surveyed the pickings. True enough, it was healthier than breakfast, at least. Steamed veg, chicken and steak substitute, gravy, potatoes. Pretty standard fare, but it smelled nice. The potatoes were nice and herby. I'd have preferred real meat, but again, mixed crew. Does he ever get full? She nodded as Stefan was busy scarfing down the rest of his grub as though he were afraid someone was going to take his plate away from him. Experts are divided. Tabby gave a chuckle as we each started to help ourselves. A loud clink of fork on a plate, and now Stefan was finished and he stood, picking up his camera. I heaped some veg on my plate and inspected the steak. I didn't mind fake meat that much, but could vary wildly in quality. Well, I never had the texture of real meat. Sometimes it was more spongy, insubstantial rubbish that made me gag. I cast a sidelong glance at the sisters, watching what they chose. They both went for the fake chicken instead of the fake steak. Sometimes I wondered about the contradiction of herbivores eating stuff specifically designed to mimic meat. A lot of them found the idea horrific in principle. A loud click from the corner of the room told me Stefan was snapping more pictures. Instinctively I burned and resisted the urge to turn. What's up? You look down. More down than usual. Hey. She snickered and nudged me. Seriously, what's up? I don't like getting my picture taken. She glanced over behind us towards Stefan, made a face at him, then nudged me. Not to worry. From the looks of it, he's probably just got the back of Sharif's head from where he's standing. I couldn't help but chuckle and smile. Tabby really was pretty different when she wasn't stewing in resentment. Browsing the food, I started reaching for the fake steak. Give me that! We all jumped and looked over the corner of the room where Sharif was accosting Stefan. Get off! Dropping our things on the buffet table, we all rushed to the conference room. I want to see that picture. What the hell is wrong with you? Sharif, what's wrong? The stallion ignored everyone, looming over the possum, looking beside himself. Do you think I'm a fool? What are you talking about? I was taking a picture of the room. Who do you think you are fooling? You have been staring at me for the past half hour, and you were asking about it at breakfast. Sharif, calm down. It's just a picture. I will not. You're telling the truth, then show me the picture. No. His voice was quavering, he was shrunking on himself. Tail coiled around his legs in fright. Felt a bubble of anger welling up. The scent of Stefan's terror wafted over me, reminding me of last night. A slight peppery tang marked out against the rapidly building fear scent of the sisters beside me. What also made it stand out was the intensity. Stefan was absolutely petrified. Sharif, that's enough! He ignored me. Gail and Tabby exchanged worried looks. Sharif looked like he was about to deck Stefan. Show it to me. His voice was a low growl and he stood mere inches away. No. This time Stefan was more forceful, his terrified expression shifting to a more defiant one, even if his eyes glistened. Back off. His newfound backbone couldn't hide the fear in his voice, and Sharif apparently heard it too. He reached for the camera. You heard him, Sharif, back off. The deep booming voice made everyone turn their heads, even Sharif. Rufus had stepped up behind him, tall and straight and squaring off. Sharif turned to face him, his fury flickered. Though taller than him, excluding the antlers, Rufus was built like a brick shithouse. He took my picture without consent, I only ask. Step away from him, Sharif. I swallowed as a cloud of fear scent engulfed me. Rufus made a show of cracking his knuckles, meeting Sharif's gaze with a look that probably would have ended Stefan if he aimed at him. As buff as Sharif was, I knew I'd put my money on in a fight. Apparently Sharif was arriving at the same conclusion as his fury turned to a look of defensive contempt. He opened his mouth to protest, saw the collection of dirty looks he was getting, apparently decided better of it. A final glare at Stefan, he swept by Rufus, barged him on the shoulder and stormed off towards the cabins. Immediately I felt the oppressive weight lift as Gail and Tabby exhaled. I realized my tail was curled in apprehension and my ears pinned back as though were me being confronted. Guess he didn't like his picture taken either. There was a brief pause. Then, as though expelling the nervous energy of the last few moments, I snorted in laughter. Gail joined in. Are you okay, kid? Rufus stood before Stefan, resting a hand on his shoulder. Poor guy looked like the weight of his hand would floor him. Even from here I could see he was shaking. Thanks, guys. Rufus gave his shoulder a firm, reassuring squeeze and a warm smile. So what was his deal? I don't know, he just got up and shouted at me. Did you take a picture of him? Gail, what difference does it make? That doesn't make his reaction any better. No, I'm not saying it does. I was just curious is all. I took a picture of the room with everyone, not just him. I just wanted to get a group shot, but... Rufus placed his other hand on his shoulder, standing before him with a comforting smile. Settle down, buddy. He didn't do nothing wrong. Take a seat there. He half-guided, half-manhandled Stefan to the nearest chair and sat him down. Stefan seemed too shell-shocked for any resistance. Garrett, a word? I jumped as he suddenly addressed me. He met my eyes with a dark look, then nodded his head towards the far end of the room, away from everyone else. I confusedly followed. Behind me I heard Tabby and Gale murmuring and reassuring Stefan. Alright, need to ask you a favour. Me? Hey, the poor kid didn't expect Sherry to blow up like that. Aye, I mean, I don't like my picture getting taken either, but he's totally out of order. Agreed. So I wanted to ask, would you mind giving the kid a pep talk like I go to see Sharif? He needs to know he's out of line. Why me? Well, I thought he'd go give Sharif a talking to. Truth be told, I'm a little riled up right now, so it might not be the best idea for me to be alone with him, if you catch my drift. You aren't going to fight him, are you? That depends on him. I ain't looking for a fight, but if he pushes me... I gulped. While I still personally placed my money on Rufus, the pair of them could do real damage to each other. Didn't fancy my chances trying to break them up. There was something about the way Rufus had looked when he confronted him. A glint in his eye that made me shiver. I wasn't sure if he was the best person to mediate. That said, would I do any better? Sharif was terrifying when he was pissed, and could probably lift me with a single arm if he wanted. Fuck, I knew nothing about resolving arguments. Garrett, are you still with me? Oh, yeah. Should I confront Sharif? Would you mind speaking to Sharif? I wouldn't know what to say. He gave me an odd look that made me very uncomfortable. Finally he sighed. Yeah, I suppose you're right. Guy like Sharif needs a firm hand. When he saw that look of horror on my face, he quickly added, Not literally, jeez. I promise I'll keep my hands to myself. He sounded sincere. Look he gave me carried an unmistakable qualifier, as long as he does. Regardless, we'd come to a decision. I nodded, wished him luck, and returned to Stefan. The possum looked less shaken, but more crestfallen. Gale was sat by his side, one hand on his shoulder. All right, mate? You doing okay? He glanced up. His face was slightly damp as his glistening eyes met mine. My heart clenched. Poor guy. Yeah. Tabby shot me and Gale a worried look. Seems I wasn't the only one who didn't really know how to comfort people. Why don't we go for some fresh air, huh? Her voice was warm and friendly, but Stefan merely grunted and didn't move, hugging himself. It wasn't hard to see he was a nervous type. The several times I'd unwittingly nearly given him a heart attack attested to that. Where he stood his ground before, he seemed extremely confident in expressing himself. Maybe a bit too much. Whereas I recall the way Sharif had loomed over him, snarling and shouting, it made a lot more sense. He was skinny, pretty gentle, and having a guy like Sharif in his face would make a lot of people scared shitless. I couldn't truthfully say I'd have handled it much better in his position. I have an idea. All three glanced at me, Gale and Tabby with confusion, Stefan with sad, glazed eyes. Why don't you take my photo? Tabby raised her brow at me for a moment before breaking into a smile and giving a discreet nod. Why not take all of our pictures? That's a wonderful idea. What you say? Stefan blinked to look a bit surprised. Then, wiping his nose and eyes, he finally cracked a little smile. Are you sure? Of course. Can't think of anyone better. I don't typically let people take my picture, so this is a rare honour. I winked at him, hoping my crooked smile was reassuring and not creepy. Fortunately, he brightened up immediately, taking up his camera. I'll set the timer so we can all be in the shot. He hopped up, his old energy back with a vengeance. He futzed with his camera while me, Tabby and Gale lined up, standing a little back from the table. Tabby leaned close and whispered in my ear. Good thinking. A sharp nudge to my ribcage caught me off guard and I wheezed, drawing a snicker from Gale. As he set up his camera on the table, I nervously tugged my fringe, making sure my eye was concealed. One advantage of my bulky jacket made me look bigger and concealed my skeletal frame. But did it make me look too big? Maybe it looked ridiculous. Tiny head and bony legs with a big red meatball of a torso. Okay, ready? Before I could obsess further, Gale moved aside and let Stefan in between us. He put an arm around my shoulder and Tabby did the same to me, both grinning widely at the camera. My heart raced at the contact. They feel how skinny I was, or they could smell the tobacco off me. Lighten up. She hissed in my ear. I glanced sideways and saw her eyes. She looked both annoyed and concerned. Forcing my feelings down, I gave what I prayed was a friendly, happy grin. Cheese! And all done. There, that wasn't so hard, was it? His cheeky grin was back. Try as I might, I couldn't be pissed at him. Even my adrenaline was going wild. We broke apart just as Rufus came back, looking pretty pissed off. Well? It was clear from his demeanour that things hadn't gone well. Stubborn frick. That well, huh? Tabby. Well, what did he say? Stefan looked crestfallen again. Harry's agreed he overreacted. We still pissed at Stefan. Maybe best if you two, He waved a hand at Stefan with an apologetic look. At the very least, they hadn't descended into a brawl. Small mercies. Oh, that's ridiculous. Let me speak to him. No, it's okay, Gail. Please just leave him alone. I'd rather just let it slide. You can't just let him walk over you. You'll be stuck with him for at least the next couple of weeks. I know, I could see his tail curling again in clear distress. Please don't pester him on my behalf. I'll keep out of his way from now on. Just, can we drop this? We all exchanged worried looks. I wasn't optimistic that Sharif would drop this, even if Stefan wanted to. Okay, that's what you want. But if he gets in your face again... He let the words hang in the air. Thank you, all of you. I'm really, really grateful, you're honest. I'd really rather we just drop this for now, okay? If you're sure. Tavi nodded, though she also looked dubious. Grabbing his camera, looking close to tears again, he gave a hurried apology and left, leaving me behind in an uneasy gloom. I made my own excuses and left. I beelined for my cabin, given just enough time so that Stefan could enter his own without me running into him. I felt like the last thing he wanted was to be around people right now, and honestly, I felt the same. Almost as soon as I locked the door behind me, I felt like my chest was going to burst. I'd have grabbed a smoke to calm my nerves, but I couldn't smoke indoors, and I really didn't feel like being around people right now. And then I remembered. Fuck. I pulled my phone out. 3 missed messages from Mum. I was about to respond when I saw the signal bar was empty. Fuck. I guess I could send an email. I'd need to ask June how I could access the internet or if there's a satellite phone. Fuck. I bashed the back of my head against the door in frustration. I promised I'd get in touch with her today, and now... I swiped to open my messages. Okay, pet, looking forward to it. Sweet dreams, XXX. A response to my last message. My stomach dropped as I continued. Morning, pet. Sleep well? Can you talk? XXX. Hi, Garrett. Just checking you're okay to chat. Love you. Remember to stay warm. XXX. My mouth felt dry. Fuck, I missed knowing my window to get off this fucking tub, but I'd missed my opportunity to let Mum know I was okay. Shit. What if that was my last message? What if the ship sank? She continued sending more and more, never knowing for sure. Fuck. My chest felt like a cauldron of molten lead. Not just anger at myself, frustration at the whole situation, but guilt. Stop it. I closed my eyes, leaning my head back against the door and focused on my breathing. It will pass. In. Count to 3. Hold. Count to 4. Out. Count to 5. I slipped into practice, repeated in my head like a mantra, weathering the adrenaline storm coursing through me. For minutes, I'm not sure exactly how long, I just focused on breathing. It didn't silence the internal screaming, the thoughts thrashing around seeking whatever it could to torment me. But gradually, agonizingly slowly, it quietened. Never fully, of course. It was always there. But focusing on my breathing was like turning down the volume. Slowly I reopened my eyes. It'd be fine. I could contact Mum later. I just need to speak to June. Make a plan. Just stop catastrophizing. which is easier said than done. My hands automatically reached into my pockets, putting out the cigarette packet in my lighter. The bathroom. I could go for a smoke there. I didn't care if I set off the alarm right now. I just needed my fix. Pushing myself upright, I quick walked to the bathroom. I yanked a smoke out with my teeth and lit up like I'd done 1,000 times before, and as soon as the rush hit me, I tilted my head back, closed my eyes, and let out a long sigh. As the smoke left my lungs, it felt as though it carried the toxic thoughts and feelings with it. Ironically, leaving behind a lot of very real toxic crap in my lungs. That was for future me to worry about. Only after the room began filling with smoke did I realise why this was a bad idea in the first place. Fortunately, the small portal could be opened. I regretted it immediately as a spray of frigid ocean water entered the room, sucking out any heat. Even my jacket still on, I was shivering. The things I do for a smoke. I half chuckled to myself, then got a glimpse of myself in the mirror, leaning against the wall and drawing again from my smoke. Mum told me to stop this. Told me all about emphysema, lung cancer, blah blah blah. Wasn't like I didn't know all this. Didn't feel the nagging in the back of my mind, wondering if this cigarette was the one that planted the seeds of cancer. If this was the draw that would sow the arterial gunge that would trigger the heart attack or stroke. Fuck. That voice was coming back again. I hated that voice more than anything. More than my thunderclaps, more than my smoking habit, more than watching Mum deteriorate. Even when I was feeling good, when things seemed to be really wrong, or at least not as bad as it could be, it would rise over from my subconscious and blether about everything and anything. What ifs, what abouts, could have, should have's. And as I observed myself smoking, that voice began conjuring images of myself on oxygen, unable to even climb stairs without getting out of breath. Fuck it. I stuffed it out in the sink, then tossed the butt out the porthole. I decided to keep it open slightly while closing the bathroom door. I wanted the smoke to ventilate outside and not into my bedroom and actually trigger the smoke alarm. Assuming those fucking things worked. While I was here, I dropped some diclo into my eye, just in case. Today had been surprisingly free of pain, but I wasn't willing to chance it. With what little buzz I could get from my smoke fading, I staggered to the bed and flopped onto it. Halfway through my first day and already I was falling apart. Jesus, God forbid a real crisis occurred, I'd be worse than useless. I fumbled for the cable and plugged my phone back in, then set an alarm for dinner time. A nap would help. I always felt better after a sleep. Whatever problem my mind tormented me over, convinced me it was an insurmountable apocalyptic event. The fear I was a blissful unconsciousness did wonders to silence it. At least for a while. Without even taking off my boots, I closed my eyes. Within moments I was out like a light. I was lucky to have a dreamless sleep. I couldn't say I felt amazing. Napping usually made me feel a bit more tired than I originally had been for a short while. At least the storm in my head was over. The alarm kicked me fully out of sleep. I lay there for a moment, debating whether I wanted to sleep more. Then my stomach vibrated, growling in protest. I realized I'd not actually eaten lunch. All that drama had wiped it from my mind, and the cigarette had suppressed my appetite just before my nap. Dragging myself off the bed, I debated getting a shower before deciding against. I liked to grab dinner while I was quiet and certainly without a large crowd. Slipping my phone in my pocket next to my smokes, I stretched, rubbed my eyes and moved like a zombie toward the door. By the time I arrived in the lounge, only June, Dana, Tabby and Gail were present. Dana was chatting about with Gail while June and Tabby were gathered near the kitchen hatch. Already I could smell something good wafting through the hatch. Cumin, coriander. Is that galangal? Probably a curry of some kind, and it smelled delicious.
Hey, Garrett, your stomach guided you, no doubt?
Not really, but it's definitely getting rumbly. That smells amazing. What's for dinner?
Thai green curry. Don't worry, Chef has made 2 versions for people who don't like it spicy.
Oh, he must have really put himself out for that. Not that I'm not grateful, mind. I figured I'd try a little of both. I don't like spicy food. It's only respectful to at least give both a shot since Chef made the effort. I noticed that everyone else still hadn't arrived. Maybe there was still some lingering bad blood from the argument between Sharif and Stefan from earlier. Too hungry to bother waiting, I scooped some of both of the curries onto a mound of rice and sat at the bar, greedily devouring it. The spicy version was indeed too spicy for me. It tasted good, from what I could detect through the burning sensation. The milder version was perfect. Nevertheless, I was too hungry to care. I cleaned my plate before sitting back and sighing, sated.
You were hungry, giving Stefan a run for his money.
I'm not that bad. She chuckled and was about to speak when...
Eek!
What the hell? This time I reached into my pocket for my phone, fumbling with it until I could wake it up. Dana and Gail had the same idea, and soon the three of us were using our phone torches. June pulled a small torch from her pocket.
Tabby, it's okay. You're safe.
That was when I remembered Tabby's nyctophobia. Without thinking, I turned my light on her. She was clutching herself, legs curled together and hunched over, eyes wide and breathing harsh and quick.
Garrett, you're blinding her.
Oh, fuck, sorry. Gail pulled her into a firm embrace, muffling her whimpering.
Let's go outside, Tabby. Get some air, okay?
Without waiting for a response, she hustled her sister out toward the door. Dana held them with their own light, pushing the door open to usher them through. With a grateful smile, the sisters disappeared out on the deck.
What happened? A power cut?
Again? I made no attempt to disguise my frustration.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll go speak to the captain. Just wait here, okay?
Without waiting for an answer, she hurried off, leaving me and Dana alone.
2 power cuts in 2 days.
Yeah. Though she had that usual haughty look, I could see from the curl and the slight puffiness in her tail she was agitated. I strained my ears, listening for any sounds. I couldn't hear Gail or Tabby out on the deck. In fact, other than our breathing and the slight sound of wind in the sea, it was silent.
Wait, silent? Can you hear the engines?
She froze, eyes up at the ceiling, ears perked as she, like me, strained to hear.
No, the engines are off.
We exchanged worried looks. Lights gone off was one thing, and the engines too? That was really not good. My thoughts were interrupted by the sounds of heavy, aggressive thumping steps coming up the stairs from the cabins. I watched the door lead into the cabin stairwell corridor and... What is going on? Why is the power out?
Don't ask us. June just went to the bridge to speak to the captain. No. I'm tempted to go up there myself and give him a piece of my mind.
Let me talk to the fool. He tried using the sonar without telling me. He stormed past us, using his own phone for lights. He clomped up the stairs to the bridge deck. And the emergency lights still don't work, naturally.
Sounds like the captain's going to have a lot more than an angry Sharif to deal with.
I gave a wry smirk and we lapsed into silence. I contemplated going outside to check on Gail and Tabby when a thought struck me. Where is everyone else? Stefan at least should be here by now, especially with food almost ready.
I don't know. Rufus said he's going to take a nap.
Maybe. Arran and Stefan not being here is kind of worrying. Hope they aren't lost or anything.
I doubt they'd be able to get lost on a ship this size. Well, maybe if Arran takes after Carrie...
Surely wasn't going to let his Carrie business go. We heard the door at the top of the stairs open and some hushed voices. June and Sharif. They both started down the stairs, Sharif looking grim and June. She looked slightly frantic. This wasn't what I expected from her. Up until now, Tabby screaming last night notwithstanding, she seemed rock steady. This whole business had clearly rattled her.
Guys, has Joseph shown up? The bull guy? No.
Can't you contact him by radio or something? The ship intercoms are down, he's not answering by radio.
He could be hurt. Something must have happened to him. It's like him to not answer.
June, calm yourself. You're supposed to be the one in charge of us, remember? She blinked as though she'd been slapped. Then her expression hardened and some of her previous grit returned. The ship's radio is down. It's in navigation and engines. You're adrift and have no means of contacting help.
This is a total power failure. Something must have gone really badly wrong.
Wait. First emergency lights now. What, we don't even have battery backup?
We do. I don't know why it hasn't kicked in. I need to go check on the engine room and find Joseph.
I'm coming with you. Me too. I blurted it out before I could stop myself. I didn't want to be alone here and I wanted to know what was going on.
No, it's my job, not yours. It's too dangerous.
June, I expect your position, but going alone would be reckless. She looked to each of us in turn, biting her lower lip. It was clear she was grateful to be offered company, even if her professional pride was less thankful.
Come on, what's the harm? Besides, the longer we sit here dawdling, the greater the danger, right? All right, will you do as I say? Are we clear?
We both nodded. I will come too. So the second power cut in 2 days, and I'm very much eager to meet this Joseph. The three of us gave a collective shudder at the thought of Sharif and Joseph having a shouting match, but no one objected. June pulled some torches from under the bar and handed each of us one.
Here, save your phone batteries.
Moving down the stairs towards the cabins, it's only now it was dimly illuminated by a window allowing moonlight in. That was just how cramped the passages were. Also, it didn't help that I could feel the rolling of the ship beneath my paws pick up. Maybe it was just my nerve-riddled senses in overdrive, but I thought I could hear the wind increasing. My nerves only worsened with the prospect of an uncontrollable ship in a rough storm. Without the windows allowing in moonlight, the corridor was utterly pitch black. I switched on my torch, giving us the view of the not-so-cosy interior.
Hello?
She squinted in the corridor, shining a torch back and forth. Dana?
Thought I saw someone.
I felt the ship pitch slightly, then it rolled to the left, causing a feeling of vertigo. It feels like a storm is brewing.
Without engines, we're fucked. The engine room's at the end of the corridor, down the stairs.
Stefan? Arran? Rufus? I called out, straining my ears to the sounds of movement of voices. Nothing.
Where are they? How can they get lost on a ship this small?
Clustered together, we made our way unsteadily. Shadows moved as the corridor began to rock and the beams from my torches slid across the walls. It was unsettling just how aware I was of the sounds of the ocean and the wind. It had always been there, as had the roar of the ship, but knowing it had no engines made me flinch at every tilt. The familiar scent of fear, 3 different scents to be precise, drowned out all other scents. Having a lupine nose was sometimes a curse. Oh, wait. Yeah! I placed a hand on my chest, half expecting my heart to explode through my ribs.
Damn it, Sharif, don't just shout like that.
But he ignored us, shoving past to storm over to a cabin door. Who has been in my room?
Are you fucking serious? We don't have time for this.
I closed my door. I know I did. Someone has been in here. Sharif, the ship is rocking like crazy. Could have just opened.
And anyway, who cares? You probably didn't close it properly. It happens.
Wait here. I need to check something. Fuck's sake, Sharif. Can't this wait? Without dignifying me with a response, he shoved the door open and clomped inside.
Should we wait? Fuck him. We don't have time. You said yourself we don't have communications either, right? Yeah. So not only out of control, if something does happen, we have no way of sending a distress call.
Sharif, we don't have time. Hurry up. From inside his cabin, I could rustling of paper, like he was leafing through a book. Then a loud, furious snort. The angry hoofsteps reverberated on my paws and up my legs until he repeated his cabin door. And he looked pissed. Then let us go. I'll deal with this later. He shoved something in his jacket pocket before turning without another word, marching off down the corridor.
Well, let's go.
Even she sounded baffled. We knew we couldn't stand around. We followed the clearly seething horse. The second set of stairs led me down into the inky black lowest deck. Down here, the increasing roll on the ship was even more apparent. Even with the torchlight, the darkness was oppressive. To make matters worse, it was freezing down here. My breath fogged in front of me and my nose nipped at the biting cold.
Heating must be down too.
I could hear the shivering in her voice. Already the cold was cutting through to me. So if we don't drown, we'll freeze.
Garrett. Enough. June, where's the engine room? Just down here.
She pointed toward a rather sturdy-looking sealed door. Sharif was already standing there, arms crossed and tapping a finger impatiently on his arm. The door is locked.
Of course it is. Here, allow me. June sounded pretty irate, which I guess I could understand. I referred to her like this to borderline panic-stricken, at least. She fumbled for a set of keys, was about to slot them into the lock when I heard something. June, wait. She jumped and yelped, and even Sharif looked startled. Garrett, what? Quiet, listen. Silence fell over us. The wind was clearly pretty wild now. Even down here in the bowels of the ship I could hear it. I heard it clearly this time, a harsh snapping noise. Then another, irregular and unpredictable. No one touch anything metallic. June, let me unlock it. What is it? Why? You have fingerless gloves. Listen, I can hear something sparking in there. The walls or floor could be live. Don't touch anything, okay? I wasn't used to taking command like this, but if something in there was really short and any conductive surface could be deadly. The key entered the lock and I turned it, hearing it click open. I turned the wheel and pushed, revealing the engine room. The moment the door opened, the sounds of electrical sparking became harsh enough to make me flinch. Each spark briefly illuminated the back of the room, casting eerie shadows. Oh my God, Joseph! Joseph, are you there? Dana joined in the shouting, more commander in the tone versus June's slightly raised pitch. There was no response. Joseph! Joseph! June, calm yourself. This is no time to panic. What if he got electrocuted? What if he's hurt? June, I get that you're worried, but you cannot fuck around in here, understand? I placed a hand on her shoulder, trying my best to be reassuring and also impressed upon her the imminent danger. It sounds like power is still coming from somewhere, if that shorten is anything to go by. June, do you know if this ship has a backup generator or batteries? Yeah, it's a backup. In fact, I think I can hear it. My hearing was a little phased by the constant loud electrical bursts, but as I strained to hear, I heard a soft, low rumble from one of the side rooms. Okay, before we do anything, I need to turn it off. Can you take me there? Do you think you can fix it, Garrett? No idea, but I need to turn off that backup before I can get near it. In the meantime, could you two... I gestured to Sharif and Dana. Look for the breakers? It should be a big cabinet with a series of switches, kind of like what you'd find in your house, just bigger. They exchanged dubious looks, but thankfully didn't argue. Oh, before you go. I sure you have no intention of touching anything, Garrett. I ignored his attitude and followed June towards the side room. It was dangerously close to the sparking equipment, which, now I could see, seemed to be a control panel near the main generator. I had an awful feeling in the pit of my stomach that whatever was damaged was not going to be repairable, at least not without Joseph, wherever he was. The backup was a dinky-looking piece of crap, rattling and vibrating. The engine room itself was dark and didn't know enough about ship engines to really judge their condition, spark and control panel notwithstanding. This thing looked like it was moments away from rattling itself to pieces. I slowly reached the power switch, half expecting an arc to zap my fingers before pulling the switch down. Instantly the backup generator stopped, and with it the sparking. With the absence of the constant electric popping, the ringing in my ears began to fade. Okay, now what? Now I need to go take a look at the damage. Listen, I need to go look for Joseph. He could be hurt, or... She trailed off. In all honesty, June wasn't going to be much use to me now, and it's clear her mind was focused on him. Okay, where are you going to look, just so we know where to find you once we're done? I'm going to search a machine shop just opposite the door we entered through. If he's not there, then... I guess the crew cabin's the only place I can think of he could be. A sense of vertigo came over me as I felt the ship roll beneath my paws, making me grab a conduit to stop myself toppling over. Okay, fair enough. I need to get to work. Be careful, okay? Come back here if you find him. Okay, good luck. She gave me a weak smile and left through the door. When I entered the engine room again, Dana was waiting for me. I found something. She hefted a metal toolbox. Outstanding. Just what I need. Anything else? I think I found a cabinet like what you described, but I can't be sure because it was near the sparking thing. I'll show you. Is that thing going to start sparking again? No, the power is off. I mean, completely this time. I shone the torch around, noticing the horse was nowhere to be seen. Where's Sharif? I don't know. He's near the back corner of the room last I checked.
Sharif? I called out, peering around the machinery. That's when I noticed. I couldn't see the light from his torch. The engine room was spacious enough, but not enough to play hide and seek.
Sharif, stop screwing around.
Silence.
Can you fucking believe this?
Alright, look, show me to this cabinet, I can make a start on it. Then you go take a look for him, okay? I saw her tail thrash a little and her lip twitch. I was getting the impression she didn't like being told what to do. Fortunately, she relented, turning and leading me towards the panels that had been previously showering sparks everywhere.
This one here.
She shone a light on the tall cabinet with a panel of large switches and a red button under a plastic protective flap.
Is this what you need?
Scanning it with my torch, I squinted at the labels and warnings. The pull-down handle near the red button was marked Charge. The labels above the switches had a bewildering series of names, consisting of names like C2 or Food BPs. But I finally found one I could understand. Rudder control. Rudder control! This is it.
So, what do you think? Fixable?
I can't say yet. I need to take a closer look. Why don't you look for Sharif?
Yeah. But I wanted to ask you about something first.
A sudden tone shift gave me pause. About what?
Guess.
God, even now of all times she couldn't resist being an arsehole. Sharif?
You think he's on the level?
I met her eyes, trying to figure her out. She gave nothing away, watching me with a laser-like gaze. I don't know. She didn't react, but she did glance around, suddenly concerned for any potential eavesdroppers.
I heard what happened with Stefan.
And what did you hear? I was getting frustrated with the vagueness, and the tilting and low roar of the weather was not helping. She was a little taken aback by my snapping at her, but I could swear I saw a slight smirk.
Stefan was taking pictures of him in his notebook and he lost his temper.
His notebook? Stefan wasn't taking pictures of him or his fucking book. He was taking pictures and Sharif overreacted.
How do you know?
He nearly decked him. I was there.
No, I mean, how do you know he wasn't taking a picture of his notebook? Because he said so?
My mouth opened to retort, but as it hit me, I realized I really couldn't answer her truthfully. And her face took on an infuriating smug grin.
Why would he lie about it? You said the same about Sharif to him, didn't you? I overheard you last night.
She kept watching me with a piercing look, making me increasingly feel like I was being interrogated. What exactly are you getting at?
It's weird you trust him but not Sharif. You heard his weird rantings, right?
I wouldn't say I trust him. He's harmless. Weird, yeah, but...
Again, how do you know?
You have something to say, just fucking say it. I've had it out to here with this cryptic shite. As soon as the words were out of my mouth, I regretted it. The last thing I wanted, that I needed, was an argument. Yet she watched me with a curious look, analysed me in a way that nearly set me off again.
Just don't take Stefan lightly. Someone that delusional isn't reliable.
That's a bit harsh. He's really trying to cope with his brother's death.
We're all trying to cope.
Her voice raised a little in anger before she visibly deflated, closing her eyes as she fought back whatever she'd been about to say.
I'm just saying, believe whatever you want.
Anything else I wanted to say was interrupted by another lurch of the ship. I took the toolbox from Dana, set it on the floor and started examining the panel, ignoring her indignant look. The upper panel seemed fine. There was no damage I could see, although all the switches were off. They'd probably tripped when what the hell that sparking machine blew up. I sank to my haunches, examined the lower part of the cabinet, and... Christ on the bike! The lower part of the cabinet held what I could only describe as an absolute disgrace of a nest of cables. I could only stare for a few moments. I tried to figure out just how to even begin examining what was happening down there. Who fucking maintains this? Silly question, of course, but was Joseph really responsible for this? The Sylvia clearly had technical issues. This looked like someone had rearranged the entire contents using moon logic. Parts of it looked like cables being pulled out of something. Others looped around and entwined around each other so much I couldn't even begin to figure out where they went. Others had been patched together in possible repair jobs. The two sides of the wire were in different coloured insulation. I mean, they couldn't have been the same original wire. This couldn't simply be an accident or incompetence.
I gave my head a shake and leaned in, gingerly tugging at the bundle of cables and angling the torch to see better inside. I need hours in the manual just to figure out what was happening. I was about to stand to try restarting the power without touching the wires when the ship suddenly lurched beneath my feet, tilting to the side and causing me to topple. Oh, fuck! I only barely caught the edge of the cabinet, sparing me from being thrown across the room. This was really bad. The storm must be going mental up there. Thought of being trapped down here in the event the ship capsized or started flooding gave me a moment of pause. Maybe we should find the others and get the fuck out of here. Then I remembered the ship had no communications. If we abandoned ship, there's no telling how long it would take for help to arrive. I didn't fancy our chances in a lifeboat out there. Particularly not a Sylvia lifeboat. Virtually anything else about her upkeep was to go by. I muttered under my breath to examine the panel. Maybe just shorted out and needs restarting. Dana, did you find Sharif? Dana? I looked up and shone my torch behind me. I knew I told her to go find him, but surely she couldn't have gone far. Fuck's sake, Dana, if you and Sharif are fucking with me. Neither of them seemed the types to play pranks, especially not in this situation. Where could they have gone? I decided to focus on repairs. Everything else could wait. Judging by the state of the switches, everything had been tripped. Probably something similar to last night when the sonar tripped out the lights. I pushed each switch up to on in turn. I lifted the start button flap and pressed it. A loud clunk sounded, then... Gah! The damaged panel behind me shed a shower of sparks, briefly illuminating the area and scaring the shit out of me. Looked like it was too much load. I need to try switching stuff on bit by bit. The switch is all tripped again, so I peered much closer at the labels, trying to figure out what I should prioritise. Let's just get the engine working. One by one I squinted at the labels and I found one reading props, another marked rudder. Assuming the second was the rudder, I pushed the two switches up and repeated the power on. There was a loud clunk followed by a low hum as the engine beside me rumbled back into life. Yes! My heart leapt, the rumbling grew louder and more intense, drowning out every other sound. I wanted to leap for joy and tell the bridge had engine power, but with no communications. Given how the engine was making my ears ring and my brain vibrating my skull, I figured they had to know by now. With the main priority dealt with, lights would be very nice. So my hand reached up the switches again and reconsidered. Getting communications up seemed the next most important priority. I could live with the dark a bit longer it may, until we could call for help. Locating the switches and the communications was more difficult. The names of the switches were mostly cryptic but not incomprehensible. C2? I and the switch is the only one that even came close to communications as far as I could see. What the hell? Decided to give it a try. My ears were starting to hurt from being next to the engine. Flipping it up, I paused just a moment. Flinching, I anticipated a potential spark storm. Nothing. Assuming it was for comms, I wouldn't know for sure down here. I'd only hope the bridge now had contact with the outside world again. Maybe getting the lights back up would be the next best. Garrett? Did someone just say something? Yeah, doing? The roar of the engine was all I could hear. Fuck, my ears would be ringing for hours after this. I scanned the switches, trying to identify something that might control the lights. Just as I felt a hand on my shoulder. Garrett! Yeah! There, looking both furious and alarmed, was the huge bull. Joseph! My heart hammered in my ribcage. His alarm faded and the fury on his face became even more apparent. What are you doing? I could barely hear him over the engine. I leaned forward, pricking an ear and cupping a hand. What? The fear on his face gave me pause as he loomed over me. What are you doing? Even on the engine I could hear the outrage in his voice. Before I could say anything, though, Dana and Sharif both materialised. It's control? Where? Fucking... Joseph finally snapped and banged a huge fist against the cabinet by him, drawing our attention. He jabbed a finger toward the door and beckoned us. I swallowed. He looked pissed. On the way out, he flipped a couple of breaker switches and the lights popped back into life.
Whatever relief I felt was short-lived as I saw the look of fury on his face. We followed up the narrow stairs in silence. Sure enough, my ears were ringing. When we got to the top of the stairs, Joseph rounded on us and bellowed, "What were you thinking, playing with the engine? You could have been killed." I recoiled, raising my hands defensively. I just fixed the... You could have blown half ship's systems. It is delicate. You don't know what you are doing. Despite his fury, I bristled, resentment pushing a snarl from my lips. Now wait just a second. Where were you, Joseph? Joseph blinked, if only just remembering Sharif and Dana were there. Sleeping. I am only engineer on ship. I can't be on duty always.
Are you for real? You were asleep doing all of that?
This time the rumble in my chest turned to a full growl. My lips peeled back and my blood raced. Where the fuck do you get off lecturing me? The huge bull hesitated, looking a little uncertain. He pointed a finger at me and started to speak, but something snapped, rather than my jaws did. My fangs clacked together. I gave a threatening bite at the air, causing him to pull his hand back like he touched something scalding hot. That fucking disgrace of a breaker isn't delicate. It's a goddamn time bomb. Why did you learn engineering in the fucking circus? This time the look of contempt morphed into something else. Fear. He looked like he wanted to retort, but I wasn't having it. I get why he told me to leave last night. This ship is a fucking death trap. Garrett, calm yourself.
Easy. I think you told him off good.
I stared the bull down, reining in my temper. Joseph stared back with an incomprehensible expression, like he'd seen me in a new light. You, engineer?
Joseph, what happened? Are you all right?
What in God's name is going on? What's all the ruckus? The pair of them appeared towards the top of the corridor. June sprinted towards her before throwing herself at Joseph.
Thank God, we didn't answer the radio,
She trailed off, her voice cracking as Joseph placed his hands on her back, patting her comfortingly. I am fine, June, thank you. Yes, we regroup in the lounge and make sure everyone is accounted for. By the time we all arrived, Steph and Arran, Gail and Tabby were all waiting for us. What happened?
What do you mean, what happened? Where were you? And Arran too, for that matter.
You too, Stefan. Why didn't you come up here at the lounge when the power went off? Three looked put on the spot for launching into defensive protests. I was sleeping. I take a siesta after lunch.
You've been asleep since lunch?
Oh, I did come here. No, it was you and I arrived. I went to the deck and found Gail and Tabby.
It's true. Arran found us and stayed with us. We came back indoors when the storm picked up, though.
Tabby still looked shaken. But she's been having the time of her life on this tub. Stefan? The air chills we heard the accusatory tone. Stefan looked affronted.
What? I took a nap as well. Is that a crime?
You also found her taking post-lunch siestas? It was obvious Sharif didn't believe a word. They could stop butting heads again. I interjected. June, how's the ship? Do we have control back?
Yes, but...
She looked really shaken. Her eyes darting to Joseph as to confirm something.
But...
The impatience in her voice was matched only by agitated thrashing of her tail.
Communications are still down.
Seriously? I thought I restored power to communications. Emphasis on thought. I was firm, but June only looked even more upset.
Then it means our comms are still down for some other reason. Maybe the power failure damaged them or something. We can't contact land and our GPS is offline.
I'll do what I can, but you... He gestured to me, our eyes meeting, and I felt a pang of anger. I probably damaged something when you messed with it. Were you not paying attention? I fixed the fucking thing, at least as best as I could tell from. Enough, this is not helping. I stewed in my resentment, giving the bull a glare, but he was now watching Sharif with an intense look.
Now, out to your explanation from the bosun here. I hope your sake is better than the pathetic excuse you gave earlier.
Wait, I don't know what's going on. Say Garrett fixed the engine?
I'll let him explain, if you wouldn't mind.
She gestured to me, and now all eyes were on me. Whatever frustration and anger I had evaporated. Might as well have had a spotlight on me. Well, I restored power. I wouldn't say I repaired things, technically. But the power system is a piece of shite. It's lucky not to blow the damn thing up, for it's so fragile.
But you didn't get the communications on, though, right?
I thought I did, but I don't know. Joseph would be the one to ask. That thought she drew the intense gazes away from me onto Joseph, who, sure enough, did not respond or emote in any way. Christ, maybe she'd teach being calm under pressure. He certainly shouldn't teach engineering. This ship is in bad way. As only engineer, I can only fix so much.
I think we can all tell the ship is in a bad way, thank you. The question is, what are you going to do about it?
We should return to port. No guarantee it will not happen again.
If we don't have communications or GPS, can we even find our way back? Of course, we can still use charts, but repairing the ship is going to take time, though. I don't know if the repairs can be done before your charter ends.
This is outrageous. His bellow caught us off guard, and June shrank back from him. This is unacceptable. The voyage must be postponed. I demand a refund.
You'll need to speak to the captain.
The look he gave her chilled my blood. I wasn't even his target. Without another word, he swept towards the stairs and stomped up towards the bridge. I'd have offered silent sympathies to the captain. For honesty, I was almost as pissed as Sharif. A chilled silence settled over the room, not helped by the fact it was now freezing in here.
So, is the heating going to come on? I don't think I'll make it back to port before I freeze.
I noticed Stefan slinking his way towards the stairs to the bridge deck. His eyes met mine. He made a silent shh to me. Arran seemed to spot him too. He started sidling, as nonchalantly as possible, in his direction. Well, fella, can you do your job and get the heating up again? As pissed as Joseph had been before, I felt like it had been more a reaction to what he thought was a non-engineer screwing with the breakers. A more scolding reaction than real anger. This time, though, I do not like your tone. I don't like your work quality.
Guys, enough, let's not fight.
June finally seemed to recapture that steel I saw yesterday when she told off Arran and Dana. The pair of brutes squared off. Even Dana straightened up and took a step toward them, raising her hands.
Wait a minute, you two. Just calm down.
She and June stepped between them, June placating Joseph while Dana talked Rufus down. A tense few minutes passed before Joseph gave a loud, contemptuous snort and turned, storming off towards the cabin corridor. Part of me was pissed at him, but at the same time I felt like I needed to get his side of the story. His reaction finding out I was a Sparky was very odd to me. His cryptic behaviour so far made it obvious he was hiding something, and that breaker box was just a start. I didn't believe for a moment he'd been sleeping. When I turned to look toward the bridge deck stairs, I saw two pairs of paws vanishing at the top. Stefan and Arran, no doubt. Maybe they're going to join Sharif and giving the captain a bollocking? No. Stefan didn't seem the type to shout at someone unless it was about cryptids or aliens or whatnot. Maybe they're going to eavesdrop? I had to admit I'd love to be a fly on the wall in there right now. I was getting the impression Sharif wasn't being entirely honest with us either. What should I do? With the possible fight diffused, I slipped around the gathered group and made my way towards the cabins. At the bottom of the stairs, I spotted Joseph already halfway towards the engineering deck stairs. Joseph, wait! I didn't expect him to ignore me, but surprisingly stopped and half-turned, glancing back curiously. I jogged up to him and he turned to fully face me. His expression was, per usual, blank and emotionless. I need to talk to you, about the breakers. Joseph glanced behind me as if checking if anyone was following us before silently beckoning me. I followed, not sure he was leading me. We went down to engineering, but this time turned right at the bottom and led me to a door on the opposite side of the engine room. How I expected a tool shop or some storeroom, but it was a small cabin, Spartan and immaculately tidy. He watched me evenly, as I was getting another he's trying to gauge me feel. The radio and GPS I can fix, maybe a few hours. Everything else. He spread his hands in a hopeless gesture. That bad? Ah. The others won't be pleased about that. His look was the epitome of, and that's my problem? I did not know you were an engineer.
Electrician, actually. Why does that matter? He paused again before continuing. You must know, electrical system is in shambles. Aye, you don't say. A flicker crossed his face. Irritation, perhaps. This ship was in bad way before I came along. It was not my fault. Why did you take this job, then? I did not know when I took job. His tone turned sharp and his eyes narrowed. It seemed questioning his competence was the sore spot. I would have left long ago, but... His words caught in his throat as though he'd just come to his senses and stopped himself. I wasn't going to let him off that easy. But... He refused to meet my gaze. That would be the first time I'd seen him look genuinely uncomfortable. Joseph, I'm not looking for dirt or to pass blame. I just want to know what's going on. If the silver is as bad as you say it is... I realized how absurd that sounded as soon as I said it, given all that had happened. Which I totally believe, by the way. Then I want your side of the story. You take so much pride in your work, why do you stick with this shit heap? Again he looked uncomfortable, but seemed to be mulling it over, and decided to press my luck. You're the only engineer on a rickety old turbine. You just saw it. You got all the blame when something inevitably went wrong. Why do that to yourself? And not by choice. He finally snapped at me. He sounded wounded, offended even. I cannot tell you why, but I work here because I must. I know how bad ship is. I do my best. You think I'd work on Death Trap willingly? Nope, not having it. You expect me to believe anyone could force you to do something? Boy, you blat. He pulled himself to his full height, looming over me. I won't lie, my ears pinned back and my stomach did flip-flops in terror. I stood my ground regardless. You think I can solve things with violence? That I just throw my weight around, get what I want? Truth be told, you look like he's ready to throw my weight around. Violence does not solve things, it makes them worse. He's breathing heavily, and I could feel the warmth of his breath on my face. It took every effort to suppress a soft whimper of terror. He stared down at me, struggling to get himself under control before slowly pulling back, raising his palms towards me. Sorry, I am sorry. That was not called for. My own racing heart slowed as he turned and sank, dejected, to the bed. Not how long I stood there, paws rooted to the floor. The terror melted in concern as I watched the giant bury his face in his hands. I don't think he was crying, but he was certainly in distress. My heart fell. I was never any good at knowing what to say to comfort someone. Taking a few tentative steps towards him, my mouth opened a few times as I tried to think what to say. Sorry, I didn't mean anything by it. He twitched, then slowly raised his head from his hands. Sure enough, his eyes glistened, though his face was dry. I don't know what's going on, and I won't lie, I'm kind of scared too. I don't want to be stranded out here. You won't. His voice was suddenly firm. His hands rested on his knees as he gave me one of his stony stares. I will get all of you back to port, I swear. His voice was solemn. It almost sounded like he was trying to convince himself as much as me. All right, I believe you. Truth was, I did. Or, at least, I believed he was sincere. I understand your professional curiosity, but please, not go into engine room again. He slowly pushed himself to his feet, his enormous body groaning with fatigue. You saw yourself what a shit heap it is. But that being the case, I could give you a hand, just until we get to shore. Come on, man. Part of me was genuine in my desire to offer him a hand, to share the load, but as much as I felt his sincerity, I knew something was up. If I could just get another look at that breaker box. No. This time a shred of that anger slipped through and he met my eyes. Promise me you're not going near engine room again, Carrot. Give me your word as a man. It was clear he wasn't going to budge. He folded his arms and gave me a look that felt like he was reading my mind. Okay, fine. Promise. I relented, throwing my hands up. He didn't seem satisfied, though, and after another moment of glaring, he extended a hand. Shake. His huge hand hovered before me. Men shake. Give their word, stand by their word. I am trusting you in this, Carrot. His words were so sincere, so forceful, the kind of cheesy sentiment slipped by me. I accepted his handshake, feeling his hand grasp mine tightly. Aye, you've got my word.
He gave a curt nod. No, it was just a handshake. Got the feeling this was something more to him. More meaningful. Fleurs Cardinal. Finally, for the first time, he cracked a warm smile. When we have nothing left, we have our word. Now. He clapped his hands together. Please go to the lounge and give my regards to June. Oh. I snapped my fingers, suddenly remembering. June had something she wanted to ask you, but you were too busy. Says her cabin door sticks. Showed her arm this morning trying to open it. He looked surprised, but gave me a kind look. Spasibo. I'll attend to it after I've completed repairs. With the last nod of understanding, I turned and left. Everyone was now present, except Joseph, of course. Sharif was standing with his arms folded while others were standing around him. Judging from the raised voices, no one was happy.
We came all this way, we can't just give up now. Are you even listening to yourself? We don't have communications or even heating. Then Joseph, get those up and running, and failing that we have Garrett.
Despite my attempt at a discreet entrance, she spotted me.
Speak of the devil, did you go and take a look at the damage?
Damage? Oh, no, I won't speak with Joseph. How did he have to say for himself? Just that he's going to get us back to port. The looks I got told me that no one's reassured. And the radio? He says he can get communications back in a few hours. Could you repair it? Me? You're an electrical engineer, yes? Well, yeah, but the breaker was a mess and half the engine room was an electrical hazard. I wouldn't know where to start without Joseph's help. I'm sure Joseph could.
Sharif, Joseph got us into this mess.
I'm well aware. You can at least give Garrett the necessary guidance. Joseph doesn't want me in the engine room anymore, so I doubt he'd help me.
Sharif looked increasingly frustrated.
Well, since you're gone, we've been discussing where we go from here.
If we go back now, we might never get another shot at this.
Of course we can. Get a refund, find another ship. It's not that simple. Even if I got a full refund from the captain, some of the funds cannot be recovered. Sonar equipment, for example. There are significant costs getting it here, installing it. Look, I don't care about money. No amount of money's worth our lives. I don't know about you, but I ain't looking to die out here in the Arctic. Alright, if we have to call this off, I'm all for it.
I'm not. We'll get another shot at this. Stefan. Look, I get it. I'm the waiter, everyone thinks I'm insane. I get it. I can't be the only one who gives a shit about finding out one way or the other, right? I mean, could you all seriously say you can sleep soundly at night not knowing? Just wonder if they're really out there, starving and cold?
His anger melted as he spoke until he trailed off, though his own imagery was getting to him.
Stefan, I get it. I really do. But all it takes is another breakdown and... how long would it take us to be considered missing?
You're here, June, right? Less than in the water is enough to kill. Think it's cold now? Imagine we need to use lifeboats.
Assuming they work, of course. I get the danger. Is everyone here really okay given for the one shot we have getting answers?
A moment of quiet passed over us. Stefan gave her a grateful look, but she looked rather ambivalent. The answer don't mean much we're dead too. What if we hadn't gotten the engine running again? To emphasize his point, he nodded at the window. Sea spray was running down the glass in constant streams, and the ocean was whipped up by the intense winds. Alright, we need to come to a decision. Keep going or call it off.
And how do you propose we do that?
We vote. There was a pause where all I could hear was the wind and waves sluicing over the deck. The storm wasn't as intense as it was earlier, but still not weather I'd like to be out in.
A vote? Stay out here in the middle of the fucking Arctic Ocean on a ship that's falling apart for 2 goddamn weeks? Is everyone here fucking high?
Yeah, everyone put their money into this, not just you. We all get a say. So why not turn around, drop off anyone who wants to quit and then continue without them? I presume the people who decide to leave would want refunds. Each of you contributed funds to cover your own attendance on this vessel. That was merely a small part. The majority of the funds you each provided contributed to chartering the vessel on the sonar. I cannot refund any of you that cancelled the whole voyage, which, as I also just said, could not include the entire sum you each paid.
To put it simply, no refunds. And more accurately, either everyone gets a partial refund or no one does. And for anyone else, chartering a new vessel will be even more expensive. I cannot speak to your financial situations, but mine is limited. That had been the most pain I'd seen him yet. Maybe he wasn't as rich as he appeared to be. At least not anymore. I don't care. I vote to go home. Her vote was completely unsurprising. Me too. It's too dangerous to continue. I vote we continue. Maybe you guys can live with yourselves knowing you could have gotten answers but gave up. But I... Stefan, enough. I understand the arguments. She gave her sister a long pleading look. Tabby bit her lip and looked away. But I can't walk away from this. I'm sorry. I vote we continue. Tabby surprisingly looked more guilty than angry. She still did not meet her sister's gaze. Well, I can see Stefan's point. Stefan looked crestfallen as they all heard the butt coming a mile away. But risking our own lives like this is irresponsible. I mean, don't you have families to go home to? Or they think you all never came home? Stefan looked like he'd been gut-punched. Tabby gave him a concerned look, but he turned away. Rufus, oblivious as per usual, didn't notice. Look, I don't think Hannah got rescued. Best pleased if I drowned out here just to find her. I vote we return. 3-2. I'm not happy about the goddamn boat, and I fully intend to take the captain to the cleaners over this. But I came this far, so I vote we keep going. Just me and Sharif. My heart pounded and my mouth was dry. At least if Sharif chose... I abstain. I blinked and gawped at him. A stunned moment of silence followed. You... fucking... abstain? Before you start screaming, let me make myself clear. I fully stand my belief in this journey will locate the Arran, and I dearly wish to find some trace of my friend. His voice broke a little. I understand your safety concerns, and I share them. I am responsible for choosing this ship and accept my share of the blame. I brought you all out here. I will abide by your collective decision. Everyone exchanged astonished looks. Then, one by one, all eyes turned to me. No pressure, Garrett. She clearly meant it in jest. The tension in her voice was palpable. Fucking hell. It's like a scene from my deepest, darkest nightmare. I was the centre of undivided attention, and my decision was all important. My tail curled against me, and I hugged myself. I lowered my gaze, praying I looked like I was thinking rather than about to throw up. Sharif, this isn't fair. You put all the pressure on Garrett now. Yeah, that's bullshit. Let's make the choice for all of us. You should have... A moment of hope, a spark of possibility. If Sharif chose... I have said my piece. I have nothing more to say. Well, fuck. Can I at least have a think? Well, I hate to put more pressure on you, but time is kind of the essence here. Of course. Return to port? Well, even if I did have the second option, which of course is still being worked on, I think I would just take the first one anyway. I think we should keep going. The words left my mouth in what felt like slow motion, as if my brain was double-checking the sanity of what I was saying. The awful silence that followed, I actually wished it started screaming and pointing fingers. At least that would have been something. Stefan and Gail looked astounded, but both gave me a smile. Gail closed her eyes and nodded in acknowledgement. It can't be serious. Rufus. So we decided then. Even though she got what she wanted, Dana didn't sound happy. More resigned. God damn it. Tabby stormed off, giving me a furious look. I wanted to shout after her to apologise, but Gail darted off after her, calling out. Mind explaining your reasoning? Arran perhaps had the strangest look of all. His expression was unsettling, as though he had seen me in a new light. I don't think he liked what he saw. Look, I made no secret I'm not exactly here because I want to be. I'm here because I don't want to watch my mum waste away, wondering if someday Connor will walk back through the door. It's killing her. And if we find nothing, then at least we tried. Well, if that's the case, how you reckon she handed if her other son died out here? You think I'm not thinking that too? I snapped. Instantly regret hit me and I rubbed the bridge of my muzzle. I'm sorry. One by one, everyone filed out of the room. Stefan briefly stopped to silently comfort me by patting my shoulder, but soon only Sharif was left. I am impressed. I bristled. I wasn't in the mood for his smart-ass attitude. With what? You held your nerve there pretty well. It could not have been easy to go against the wishes of someone like Rufus or Tabby. You think I care about that? I rounded on him, taking a step toward him. For all the good my tiny frame was to intimidate him. I told you, I'm only doing this for Mum and no one else. He was completely unfazed by my feeble attempt at intimidating him, but he did offer a small smile, a genuine one. As you say, I'll inform the captain of our decision. As let you go and rest. Your day has been rather tiring, wouldn't you agree? He turned and with a spring in his step ascended the stairs to the bridge. The privacy of my cabin couldn't come soon enough. As I walked down the cabin corridor, I could hear Tabby and Gale arguing. Arran had been standing just outside his door, murmuring with Rufus. They both stopped as I passed, watching me. I was sorely tempted to confront them, tell them to say what they wanted to say. I was of course not brave enough. Besides, I just couldn't bring myself to be around anyone right now, especially if they were pissed at me. That was when my need for smoke hit me like a sledgehammer to the chest. God damn did I need to smoke. There wasn't a smoke alarm in the bathroom. Great. No way was I venturing back out of this room, not tonight. I put in my pockets for a smoke, my hand found my packet of cigarettes, but... Fuck, where is it? Rummaging my pockets with increasing panic, I pulled open my jacket, checking the interior pockets while stuffing my hands in my trouser pockets. It had to be around here. It was never away from me. With each passing moment, it became clear that my lighter was missing. You have to be fucking kidding me! I paused, trying to calm myself and think clearly. Hard enough as it was when my chest felt like pure adrenaline was pumping through my heart. I'd last smoked just before my nap, before lunchtime. I dashed to the bathroom and stopped sharply as my boots splashed something. Oh, you are fucking kidding me! The window. I'd forgotten to close it fully. The floor of my bathroom was waterlogged. Shutting the door behind me fully to prevent it escaping into the bedroom, I ran to shut the window before turning to observe the carnage. My toothbrush and other toiletries had scattered across the floor, presumably during a storm, which is also presumably where all the water had come from. Before I tackled that, I needed to find my lighter. It's not in my pockets. I'd have to have left it here. It's the last time I'd taken it out. A lot of anxiety in my stomach turned to full-blown panic as I got down on my hands and knees to search the floor. Maybe I left it on the edge of the sink? On a shelf? I glanced up at the window and a horrifying thought struck me. No, don't be stupid. If I had left it on the sink or a shelf, the chance of it flying out the window during the pitch of the storm was so ridiculous, even my inner voice couldn't accept it. No, I'd either dropped it somewhere, I'd taken it out at some point and forgotten I'd placed it down. I couldn't remember doing it, but it's all I could think of. With a heavy heart, I grabbed the towels from the shelf and started mopping up the water. Grumbling under my breath, my eyes continued to dart about with the glint of my Ellison. If it had gone waterlogged, there was a chance it wouldn't be able to light anyway. Finally, with a pile of sopping wet towels on a mostly dry floor, I stood. I set to righting the stuff that had spilled onto the floor, trying to give my toothbrush a thorough run at the tap before putting anyone near my gob. I staggered back into my room, took everything I had to strip my underwear and plugged my phone in before collapsing onto the bed. As I crawled beneath the sheets, I realised it was chilly. For some reason, feeling angry about the state of the ship felt so distant from my mind right now. I curled the sheets around me like a cocoon. I really was exhausted. Didn't feel like I'd done very much. The evening had really taken it out of me. As I switched off the lights, it hit me again. I'd still not found a way to contact Mum. What was she thinking right now? Was she panicking? Terrified I was lost, just like Connor? Tears welled up as I scrunched my body into a fetal position, falling into my breathing. That wasn't something I could fix right now. I screamed in my head, trying to drown out that fucking voice. In, count to 3, hold, count to 4, out, count to 5. Before I could stop myself, my hand reached for my phone. I saw the text again, the plaintive, familiar tone of worry in the last one. She's clearly trying to seem okay for my own peace of mind, but obviously was not. Her only other son,
on a boat in the Arctic, and now he too wasn't responding. I'd fucked up by not taking the opportunity to turn back. Twice. Guilt welled up in me, pushing bile up my throat like poison. I chucked my phone away, not caring anymore. I just needed to make this fucking voice shut up. In. Count to 3. Hold. Count to 4. Out. Count to 5. Fix it tomorrow. You can fix it tomorrow. Nothing to do now. Just shut up. In. Count to 3. Hold. Count to 4. Out. Count to 5. I fucking told you there's nothing to do. Why don't you let me sleep? In. Count to 3. Hold. Count to 4. Out. Count to 5. In. Count to 3. Hold. Count to 4. Out. Count to 5. In. Count to 3. Hold. Count to 4. Out. Count to 5. In. Count to 3. Hold. Count to 4. Out. Count to 5. There we go, that is episode 2 of Polar Night. So what is going on with this ship? What's going to happen next? We will find out as the story goes on. I have absolutely no idea myself, but I'm definitely enjoying this one. Another one I'm also enjoying is Lyre, which will be next up on the channel next weekend. Also, we have some more Nevin to go through, and more Burrows. We're going to be probably getting close, if not reaching the end of Mark's current route at the moment. Of course, more to come with him, and then we'll see where we go from there with Burrows. I have plans. But that is coming up on the channel, and before I finish this one off, as always, thanks to all my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon. You are very much appreciated. And my top patrons are Andy Peng, Samuto, Omar, Big Booty Judy, Nova Starburn, Mohammed Al-Zamel, Aaron Fox, Exac, Evan King, Marcus, Cindy Dragowolf, Kopi, Spiderling, Grizz, Dissonance, Anube Silverwind, Ida Corval, Tiger Cub, Brian Hall, Bastion, Lark Huskerton, Legacy Bucciarati, Cobus Visser, Kartek, and Burnt Toast. And as you saw, there's a patron for Polar Night as well. He'd like to help develop this particular VN. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.